We on yet? Oh, now we are. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Trail Talk. I'm so glad you could join me today. We are coming to you live from the Chisholm Trail Heritage Center in Duncan, Oklahoma. And this is a friend of mine, Walker Clampitt. I've known Walker for a while. Walker ran high school cross country and track with my boys, and we just hung out at meets and stuff and just kind of got to know each other a little bit. And I mean, the cross country track family gets pretty close. You have to hang out through the harshest conditions, because cross country they run like no matter what, and track meets are long, exhausting days, so there's just a lot of hanging out.
They're hot, it's cold, or
And it's always
windy.
windy.
500 degrees.
Yes, yeah, for sure. So anyway, Walker, welcome to Trail Talk. This is so exciting for me. I just am thrilled for all of this stuff, because this stuff doesn't look like cross country or track stuff, does it? So, Walker, let's hear a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you from this area?
So I graduated, I'm actually born and raised here. I've lived here for, I think 28 years this year, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 28, I had a real
28 years. All right.
Feel old some days. But I graduated from Duncan in 2014. Went to OBU for 2 years and then came back and did 2 years at Cameron.
Okay, and those 2 years at OBU, you were on scholarship running.
Yep, I was on
on their team.
track and cross country scholarships for them.
Mhm.
So I did my 2 years,
Mhm.
got hurt, kind of.
That ought to tell you though, the caliber of athlete that you were. I mean, it was always so great to watch you. You just flew. It was so fun. So fun. And so you had an injury, so you came back here and finished up your school at Cameron.
I did well.
Or
Yes and no.
Yeah.
When I transferred back, I lost essentially all my credits. So I had to start all back over, and I'd already done 4 years of school, so I was tired. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm done. I need something else to do, just figure out. So this is kind of where this all started.
Okay, so you were you just needed a purpose. You needed a direction.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah. And so what was it about this? What did you set out and just say, I think I'm gonna make jewelry? Or how did what that look like at first?
I have a lot of people ask that. I really don't have an answer
Yeah,
for it. It's one of those things that it just happened.
okay.
I
Like, did you just have beads and stuff sitting around the house?
I went to Walmart, brought one of their little cheap, flimsy looms that you breathe on it and want to break.
Right.
And just some beads from there, and just started messing with it. I don't know why I decided to do it. There's really no like rhyme or reason to it. It was just like beads, loom. Let's put it together and just see what happens.
Mhm.
Which is kind of what was going.
So here's my interpretation, is that this creativity has always been inside you. And when you didn't have anything else to distract you from it, it was able to come out of you. And probably for whatever reason, this was the medium that you've chosen for your art. But that's what I've talked to so many artists, and I find that to be just the common thread, is there is this creativity inside an artist, and it's just finding the most natural way for that creativity to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And yours turned out to be beads and a loom.
It did, and that was, I think that's what I always found kind of odd or what didn't seem natural to me was I was never artistic, like
Mhm.
growing up, like
Mhm.
in kindergarten, they wanted to hold me back because I couldn't draw a stick person.
Mhm.
And now I'm making my living as an artist, so it's like, okay, where did like,
Mhm.
how did it like decide like, okay, we're gonna come out now, or
I think you were filling your life
was-
with a lot of other distractions. I mean, seriously, running takes a great deal of time and
Yeah.
commitment. It's not one of those super quick
Mm-mm.
sports. I mean, this running is something you have to like build up to, and you have to just spend hours doing that.
Well, like I was actually going to school for nursing.
Another
So-
thing that requires a great deal
Yeah.
of commitment.
So I had two things that obviously required a lot of time, commitment, and
Yeah,
passion into them.
Yeah.
And so once I was free of both of them, it was like, what did we do?
and here comes the
Where did we
creativity.
go?
Plus, on a side note, a kindergarten teacher's interpretation of art
Mhm.
and what is, you're not the first artist who a teacher was like, oh, this kid, yeah. It's just, was not what was expected,
Right.
or whatever. So anyway, all right, so you picked up a loom and some beads. When or how did you start applying the beadwork to something? Because that's like what has evolved, right?
Yeah.
Is putting the beadwork on, I don't know, on what? You brought this
So,
bridle.
this is one of the first things that this is some of my old work. I started doing more of like horse tack,
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah.
the little beaded, just kind of like simple cuffs that's on like a leather band,
Mm-hmm.
things like that.
Mhm.
So kind of like even like the little piece
Like,
that you're wearing
okay.
like that,
Uh-huh.
things like that were just kind of that you might see it like little gift shops if you go to things like that, or see it at a Western store.
Right.
That's
And-
really all that I knew.
And I see like these patterns, this is like a common patterns I've seen on other
Yeah.
similar items. And so that was, your color combinations make it more more unique,
Yeah.
that you created it. But, I mean, these are really pretty. This is really,
So that was kind of, this where it was, I was really going into, I hadn't really planned to bring in the silver and the stones. Not at that time. This is probably gonna be something that was gonna go later in.
Mhm.
I wanted to do more leather work. Found out that me and leather work don't jive.
like
You've got to be able,
tooling.
well, you got to be able to draw. I
Uh,
can't draw.
right.
Can't draw to save my
Hence the
life.
stick person story,
Yes.
right?
I can think it, like I can think it and visualize it.
Uh-huh,
But when it comes to putting a pen in my hand and putting it on paper or
Right.
something else,
right.
from here to here, there's a connection that's
Yeah,
a broken.
yeah, I hear you.
So, but when I can just be like, okay, we're just gonna like this, okay, these are the colors that I picked out of the beads. And I have a general idea of how long it needs to be, things like that, then I'll just go.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll just see like, you get things that might be like 30 beads wide or things like this that are like 9 beads wide.
Mm-hmm.
So each one requires a different width. Then you kind of have to think about, okay, the pattern needs to go to this or to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can just kind of flow with it.
Yeah, so do you like sketch out your patterns, or are they on
I
a
should
computer?
sketchbook.
Do you have a
I
sketchbook?
didn't bring one with me, but you would have thought it was kind of funny. My sketches are essentially like, if I have an idea for a piece,
Uh-huh.
I draw like a general idea.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's gonna have like beads and like silver feathers. I'll like make little deals of it. But I have to write out what it is next to it, because if I look at it, I have no clue what it's gonna be. I can't read my own drawing and I can barely read my own writing. So, it's kind of like,
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's pretty
it's a,
hilarious. Okay, so you started out, how long did you do like the beads with leather kind of thing?
I did that for about 2 years.
Okay.
I picked it up when I came home from OBU.
Mhm.
So during the 2 years that I was in Cameron, I was doing like things like that, belts. I do like little hat patches, like little ball caps. Those were kind of what I was doing
Mhm.
because they didn't take up a lot of time between school and stuff like that. So I could just sit down in the evening, pop a few of them out in a couple hours and go study or vice versa, whatever I need to do.
Right.
So,
So were you selling those things?
Yeah.
At the same time?
Yeah.
So that was a big encouragement. Okay, what I'm
Yeah.
making, other people like this.
yeah,
And so that was, okay, maybe there's something to this, something more than just a hobby.
that was kind of when I was, like, I put out hats and then I'd have like, 30 or 40 people messaging me or things like that. I'm like, okay, there's gotta be something here where I could possibly make a living or if not, have a really nice little side gig
Mhm.
and,
Side hustle, isn't
Yeah.
that the?
yeah, side
Okay.
hustle.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, side
like,
hustle.
okay, sell a couple of hats, we're gonna go to Fort Worth for the weekend.
Right, right, yeah,
Things like that. I want to go buy something.
yeah,
Here we go. I got some little extra money on the side. We're gonna go do this.
yeah,
So that's kind of how,
that part of it, that's how you kind of got the business idea of it,
well,
no?
kind of yes and no. I
Okay.
started working for a company, a jewelry company.
Oh.
So I dropped out of school. I was gonna go to Wichita Falls.
Mhm.
At MSU, they have like it's like a metal smithing degree kind of a deal.
Oh,
Class
interesting.
course,
Uh-huh.
and I was gonna take it. But there was a lot of stuff in there that I felt like I didn't need. They were learning how to make like yard art and stuff like that.
Oh,
I
yeah,
really didn't think I needed that
yeah,
when I'm just wanting to do jewelry.
right,
Um,
right.
But I got connected with a company in Altus. And what they did is they take like china dishes and cups and porcelain figurines and stuff like that. And we would cut them up and set them in silver and turn them into some form of jewelry.
Interesting.
And they did mostly Western jewelry. So like if a cup had a saddle on or something like that, we cut out and make a pendant or a bracelet or something like that.
Mhm.
Um,
And so is that how you learned to work with metal?
That's really where the metal came in.
Uh-huh.
So like I was helping them design pieces. They didn't have, a lot of their metalwork was done in Mexico,
Mhm.
but we had like one or two people in the US that way if they needed repairs done or things like that. So I got to like kind of, essentially it was more like hands-on training.
Mhm. Like on the job training.
Yeah, so like something
Basically.
comes in, they need this fixed, they would show me how they do it, or if we're behind on orders, we would have stuff there, they'd show me like, this is how you set this is how you bend this for a cuff,
Mhm.
things like that.
Right.
Uh,
Interesting. So you had like this mentoring thing going
Yeah.
on, training you how to do this. So that whole time you were working for them, were you thinking, okay, how can my bead work?
It hadn't clicked yet.
Okay.
That
okay.
was the crazy thing, it hadn't clicked yet until I was maybe like a year and a half in to working for them. And they had set a piece of beadwork many years ago before I started working for them, for a friend of theirs. And lo and behold, I find a picture of it. And it was kind of like the bells start ringing. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, wait. Why am I not doing this? Because
Yeah.
I had never seen anything done like it before.
Uh-huh.
And like coming in now, there's a few people that do it, but not to really the degree or extent that I do it.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like, okay, I just started making stuff, and whenever we would have a downtime or could fit things in, I'd be like, show me, or let's see if this works.
Mhm.
Figuring out different ways and tricks. I'm like, okay, I need to do this for the beadwork. I can't do this with the beadwork. Just things like that, and figure out how it can all work and go together.
So this company in Altus just kind of kept teaching you
Mhm.
all the things you needed to know.
Yeah,
Wow.
because
How awesome.
originally, before I went off on my own, I was going to eventually like take over more, or kind of like become up in the company.
right,
Was the original goal where I would run a lot of it, we did a lot of shows. So with me being young, it's like send me on the road,
yeah.
let me do all the kind of the footing around. When they would just stay there and be like, okay, we're sending you stuff or things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
So how was it then that you decided it's time for me to go do my own thing?
I wanted to make my own money.
Well, I mean,
that was kind of the,
so did you learn how to run a business while you were working for them
Yeah.
also? Because that's a thing, a lot of artists I've talked to, they're not always strong in the
Mhm.
business side. And so I'm always kind of interested how is that managed by someone?
Yeah,
who's an
I
artist?
was able, that's one thing that I was very lucky on, like I learned how to do shows. The first time that I ever went to work for them was the Houston Rodeo, and yeah, that's like 3 weeks long.
Oh, wow.
They said they called me 2 weeks before it started. I said it's more like you called me 2 days in advance and like, hey, we're going to this, we need help. So it was kind of like jump in,
Yeah.
you need to sink or swim.
Right,
Kind of a deal.
right.
So like I would do Houston with them, we would do Las Vegas for the NFR, Pendleton Roundup, big shows. So I learned how you need to move in and out. Kind of the setups that work good for people, really to be able to view all your products at one time and not really overwhelm them. And then like, how to do social media, how to market, conduct sales online, in person, things like that.
And then I mean, to keep track of your income
Yeah.
and taxes and all that stuff. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah,
It seems like a
there's-
lot.
Really, I tell everybody, I
Self-employed.
said, I need like 5 more hands, really,
Right.
truly, to
Yeah.
be able to. Cause even, like, I say I'm pretty organized, and I know there's a lot of stuff that like slips through, or I end up forgetting about it, and it becomes last minute kind of deal.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, it's. Once you put things into place, like, for like QuickBooks or my website, it keeps track of everything that I've sold. All like what I owe in taxes, like I can print it out. at the end of the
Oh, how
year, take it
nice.
to my CPA, and here we go.
Right, right. Boy, that's handy.
Yeah.
Very handy. That's nice. All right, so you decide it's time to make your own money. And at that point, what were the pieces like that you were creating? I mean, was it like everything we see here? Or were you kind of just going with the silver and the beads?
It was mostly like silver in the beads. I really hadn't brought in the turquoise and the stones yet. I was still trying to, in my mind, I still wanted to be a leather worker. So I was still trying to figure out how to bring those things in too. So it was mostly just kind of like silver in the beads. That's what I knew. It's what I felt comfortable with. So starting going on my own, I was like, we're just gonna kind of cruise into it. I didn't want to overwhelm myself because at that moment in time, I was working out of my living room on a little desk.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't need this to explode.
Right.
And
right.
now we have things everywhere.
Yeah.
Like it is right now.
A whole lot of everything.
Yeah, a whole lot of everything.
Yeah. So, well, you brought some cool things here, and I'd really like for us to be able to look at some of them. So this thing right here, is this your own loom design?
Yes,
that you
I
created?
didn't like how most people or companies made their looms. Because a lot of them, they would like expand or shorten. There was too many moving parts for me. I've got little hands, so I needed some of those systems to just kind of compact. And so a piece of board and a couple of eye bolts and a couple of long screws and some nails on the end, and we were good to go.
There you go.
I mean, I had one that was a little bit shorter that I actually have hanging on the wall because it's the one that I started with. So it just kind of like framed a little kind of memento deal of where I came from.
Right.
But this is the one, I've got this one and then I've got an itty bitty short one.
Mhm.
So like my little pieces and stuff like that, that way I'm not wasting a lot of thread.
Right, right.
But yeah, this is my main tool that I use pretty much weekly, sometimes it's daily, depending on what my projects require.
And so can you like make them smaller and you just have extra at the end?
Yeah, so
You
like
just-
so like, we'll just take this back, for example, right here. So like, this is a piece that was done on the loom. Let's see that really well. Man, and if we have to, we can just take it
Let's
over there,
see.
stick it in front of the camera.
Well, it should. Are you on manual?
Yeah, well, that's supposed to.
This is if you need this.
Okay, there
There
you
we
go. That looks
go.
great.
So this is
Yeah.
a piece that was done on the loom. So like essentially what I would do for it is like, so with beadwork, you work with evens or odds on the loom.
Okay.
So like this is like 16 wide or something. like
Uh-huh,
that.
uh-huh.
17. This
Okay,
is like 17 wide. So I have to work.
so that
it-
gives you like a center.
Yes,
line,
so it gives me a
right.
center point. If I work with like 16,
There's
I have a double.
double, yeah,
But like I essentially would just put it where we at. Here we are.
yeah.
So I'll put like, I have to have 18 rows of thread on my loom.
Uh-huh,
And so I would just go in and however big it needs to be. Normally pieces like this, I would do on my little loom. That way I don't waste a lot of thread, but I'll have them threaded and then I can just loom it onto
yeah.
this.
It's
And
not
so it'd be
clear
like
at all
that.
there, Mary. I,
Trouble.
you had it there. Whoa, go back a little. A little bit more. That's,
I
well,
get it. A little bit.
yeah, there, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good right there.
So it kind of just sit like that. is how it
Okay,
look.
yeah, kind of in the center.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just have the little threads.
But then like
on-
things like the cuff like this.
Uh-huh, yeah, right there. Back up a little bit.
That's
again,
got the
Mary.
beadwork like a long strip. It
Yeah.
would take up the whole, essentially the whole loom.
Okay,
So that's just kind of how. It
Yeah.
works with the
Yeah.
loom.
which, I mean, it's such a simple tool,
It
you know?
it really is, and you can like, depending on, like, I've had things where I've made it as wide as a loom and I've had like. Full pictures almost,
Oh, yeah,
so like. I think one over my head, it was like a. It was like full cow skull, and like I could
Oh.
have it to where it looked like it had like shading on it and things like
Uh-huh,
that.
uh-huh.
So I
That's
mean,
cool.
you can, the wider it is on beads, the more detail you can get on it. So
Have
it's-
you ever thought of doing like big pieces like that?
I've actually had some designs laid out for like backs of jackets or like a big push front
Yeah,
or something like
yeah.
that. But the amount of time that it would take to do it, I don't know if I would have enough patience.
Okay. Cause I can eat, I mean, that sounds very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Maybe someday,
Yeah, maybe.
maybe someday. I mean,
I have
that's,
to feel a little more ambitious, maybe.
well, I mean, everything that you have is handmade by you. You
Yeah.
know, you are a true artisan and the pieces that you're creating are all unique and, you know, by being handmade, they're each one is gonna have a little bit of difference. No two are gonna be alike, which
Yeah.
makes them, I would think, you know, more appealing for someone who wants like a statement piece or something.
Yeah.
It's a one of a kind. And I just, that seems like a great place to be, you know, but you know, maybe you'll,
Maybe one day.
listen, the thing I've learned about artists is that they're always trying something new.
Yeah,
Everybody's just always thinking, what else can I, I wonder if I could do this, and you push yourself.
Yeah.
And see what else you can come
well,
up with,
that's,
so,
if we don't do that, art doesn't evolve. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of, you have to figure out a way to somehow push either you or your art or. Like the Western jewelry industry is a huge industry at the moment.
really,
So it's trying to figure out how to like. Maybe even push others
Mhm.
Like
Oh,
I've got friends and stuff like that, so it's like, if I come up with an idea that I necessarily don't think I would do. It's like, here, I'm going to throw this idea to you. And we may bounce it off of each other,
mhm.
and if it comes back to me and it seems like something I could do, or you could do, whatever. Things like that, and then suddenly you may have a new trend going, or they have a new direction that they're just like in a stalemate kind of a deal. They have
Yeah,
a new direction that they could go with their work.
I love that idea, that collaboration.
Yeah.
There's no, this is my piece of the pie and that's your piece of the pie and we're gonna stay separate, but you're willing to really share ideas and
Yeah.
stuff. I love that. That's really
That's
awesome.
kind of- that was something that we talked about. It's like, you don't share the knowledge or the ideas and things like that, it's eventually gonna die,
Mhm.
because it'll die with you.
Yeah. So do you have like a group where you guys don't just pass ideas, but like help each other with a business plan or, oh, here's a show you may not know about, or, I mean, is there like a group that you are with, or
So
are you required to be a part of some certain?
You don't have to, no, you don't have to
Organization or
be,
group,
you can
yeah.
be, you can be a loner. I know people that are like that. They
Mhm.
don't necessarily trust people enough to
Yeah.
be involved or things like that, just whatever they get. And there are groups, organizations like that, like there's the TCAA, which is the Traditional Celtic Artists of America. They're more focused in like kind of like the classic leather work, engraving, things like that.
Right.
So if people want to go that route, there's a way that they can get into that to expand their knowledge. Me personally, I've got 3 people in my life that are artists also, or are involved in it in some shape, form, or fashion, that we talk daily. Either text or FaceTiming or things like that. And one of them, we're FaceTiming at 10 o'clock at night in the shop when we're working.
Mhm.
And somebody has an idea or says like, hey, you should try this, or we notice something's going on, it seems like off with the other person. We're always like, hey, let's talk
Mhm.
about this,
Mhm.
or let's throw this idea out there and bounce it off of each other. and see
That's
kind of how
awesome.
it
Yeah, I love that.
works.
That is so cool. So, when did you start adding like stones to your pieces?
Probably about a year in of me
Okay.
being on my own.
Uh-huh.
They had kind of been mixed in, intertwined a little bit. But I realized the value that a stone would actually add to my work.
Mhm.
And you get people that they collect certain types of stones, things like that, and there's hundreds of colors of beads.
Yeah.
So I could be like, I've got these colors of beads that match this stone, put it together and it's a cool combination that people aren't seeing.
Mhm.
So that's kind of why I was like, let's just go with a lot of stones.
And so you brought, and I love it that you did this, you brought some raw pieces of different types of different things that you have, which you said this was a
That is spiny oyster.
spiny
so
oyster, coral, turquoise. What was this one?
that's white buffalo.
White buffalo,
Yeah.
which is a super cool name for something. Is this turquoise or no, this is,
Yeah, that's turquoise. So
Is it?
this is all different. types of
okay, all
turquoise.
different turquoise. And did you start out going with the raw?
No,
And
because of just working in a little area,
Mm,
the machine that I've got that cuts the stones is that big.
oh,
It requires
okay.
water and it's loud. I
mhm.
didn't have a place to put it.
Yeah, yeah,
So I started off with things like this, which we call cabs or cabochons.
okay.
And I work directly with a lot of the miners who actually mine the turquoise, dig it out, and they would cut it. And then I would just buy the stones from them.
So how do you find out who the miners of turquoise are? I'm interested in
Right,
this whole
so-
like network.
Some of it's just kind of a stumble into.
Uh-huh,
So like there's people that own like little mines
okay.
that are just kind of scattered throughout the place, and I would just stumble across them on Facebook or like Instagram or something like that. And then you have people like Kingman and the Ottisons, which are big miners. They own, which Kingman is like one of the biggest producing turquoise mines in the US and I think one of the biggest in the world. That's like commercially mined.
Mhm.
And then the Ottisons, they own like the Royston, the White Buffalo, Blue Moon, a bunch of other mines too. And so they're just kind of a big name that's out there. So like on all the Facebook forums and stuff like that, those were the names that you would see consistently.
Right. So, all of a sudden I have this thought, is there a limited amount of these stones?
Yes.
Interesting.
So
I never thought about that.
it's kind of like diamonds have a rarity,
Uh-huh,
turquoise has a rarity, and why turquoise isn't kind of prized as much as diamonds are and things
Right.
like that. Is because even though there's a rarity to it, it seems like there's a lot. Because there's probably close to 50 or 60 different types of mines.
mm,
So they're kind of all scattered out, but some of them like Lander Blue, which is really a high end. You're gonna pay like some of this stuff I might pay like $2 or $3 a carat for. Lander Blue goes for like $200, $300 a carat.
oh, wow.
But the mine only produced 100 pounds of material.
And so that
The-
there's no more of
There's
it.
no more of it to be dug up. It's all either set in jewelry or people have it in private collections
Really?
that they can pull it out and sell it for bukus of money.
So that is, like, it's over, that will never be produced again.
There are certain mines that you can only buy rough or cabochons of the form of it, and that's all that you can get.
Oh my goodness, that
I-
is, wow.
Yeah.
So you got your turquoise.
Right? Oh my goodness, that is.
And that's the good thing about it is turquoise it's always held a value.
Yeah, yeah,
So like I've got pieces from like the 50s. I think I've even got a couple from like 30s. And they still have a huge value now,
mhm,
even
Yeah.
though that they're, almost 100 years old.
wow.
And the age of it actually makes it more valuable. for a lot of them. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Wow. Okay, I'm having to process everything for a minute. Because I mean, it's kind of like. It's extinct or something. It's like that thing as a natural occurring rock.
Yeah.
Or what it's.
And it's not
never
something that's
will
like, it
happen.
takes years for turquoise to form. It's not like you dig one up and it's going to be replaced.
So is turquoise like a process, like making a diamond? Is the pressure?
It's
thing-
not a pressure deal, so turquoise is a mixture and it kind of based on the color of it. So like if it's a darker blue or more blue, it has more copper in it. If it's more on the greener side, it has iron in it. But it's like a copper, iron, and a zinc mix. And whenever the water gets it, it's trapped in like these veins and stuff like that. That's what caused it. It just sits there and that's what causes to form turquoise.
Really?
So it's not like a diamond how it's like a pressure, it's.
Yeah.
more of
Do you know
water
how
flowing in and
long?
out.
I mean, like, is it hundreds of years, thousands of
I'm
years?
sure it's years, because I mean, if it wouldn't have been, there would be like mines that are dried up, you would probably still go back in and could dig stuff up.
And, right,
If it would just take like a year to replace.
so you know how they'll like make man-made diamonds?
Yeah,
Can they make man-made turquoise?
so they do have. Like a man-made turquoise, which that's what you see like the magnesite or the halite.
Okay,
And a lot of times it's like, it's dyed is what it is. It's a dyed
okay.
material.
Mhm.
So you cut it open, it'll be white on the inside.
I
But have
see.
whatever color that they're gonna dye it on the outside.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so it'll rub off eventually.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's not a good thing at all. That seems to what?
How do you tell the difference from like one mine turquoise from the other turquoise?
So certain mines do have a characteristic to them. And there's certain ones that you could look at it, it could be 5 different lines. It just kind of depends on the deal. So like, we in here.
So
we've got a
is
few-
this is iron content, right?
And that,
is that-
this piece actually comes out of China.
Really? Okay, so
China
it's
has-
not,
China has massive turquoise mines, actually. China and Iraq and Iran have produced massive turquoise mines. So you get a lot of green like this that come out of China, and they have this weird kind of like polychrome webbing, as we call it. And almost just like, almost into a mustard yellow matrix. kind of
Right,
way.
right.
Whereas like this comes out of Kingman, Arizona.
okay,
It's a deep dark blue.
right. Does this rock polish to that color?
This will kind of be like almost in a way,
Oh.
so kind of this.
Really?
This is an old stock that I picked up out of a collection, so. the
Okay.
My products is unknown.
Okay, okay,
And then you've got things like these little, lime green.
right,
color. Those come out of northern Mexico.
Is that turquoise?
Yeah, Sonoran gold is what it's called.
Sonoran gold. Well, that's a
And it
cool
has-
name.
It has pyrite in it, so it has like,
Oh,
or like the fool's gold kind of
Yes,
stuff, has a
yeah.
flash to it.
yeah, that's what I just saw, the little veins. of
And then
gold.
this little guy, which is hard to see.
Yes, that really pale blue, like robin's egg or
Yeah,
something
but
almost.
Instead of like purplish lavender.
Yeah,
I think you can see
yeah.
very well or not. This is
He's kind of
golden. Hills.
washing out a little bit.
Yeah,
Golden Hills.
It comes out of Kazakhstan. It's the most minerally pure form of turquoise that exists.
So what does that mean, minerally pure?
It doesn't have a lot of other like, it's mostly just like copper and zinc. Is the only thing in it. It doesn't have a lot of like.
There's no
iron
iron, obviously,
or
there's
any kind
no
of, like,
green.
Phosphates or anything like
Uh-huh.
that floating in.
There's
Right.
no green in it at all. That's a lovely piece. Oh, that's, yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cool little,
And so this spiny, what, I keep forgetting
so
what,
this is a spiny oyster.
Oyster.
and these right here are actually 3 of the colors that it comes in.
okay,
Colors are based on the depth that it's found in the ocean. So the higher it is, the
Oh.
lighter it is, and the darker it is, or the lower it is, the darker it is. So you get into like the purple.
I am loving all of the science side of this, Walker. This is like my jam right here. That is so cool. So did you polish these? Did you cut and polish?
I don't cut the shell. Because they
Okay.
put off kind of a dust that you don't want to breathe in.
Oh,
Even
okay, you
though
have
I
to be
wear
in controlled
protective gear.
environment.
And people are better suited to cut this.
Yeah.
I let them cut it. And I just buy the rock from them.
Yeah,
Um,
and then these pieces of coral. Is this what it feels like whenever, I mean, this is
Yeah.
just natural?
Yeah. I'm sure that has a little bit of polish on it. I did have some.
This
in
piece
there that's-
doesn't.
Yeah, so that's kind of more what's gonna come out of the ocean looking like. So a lot of that came out of the Mediterranean or certain areas of the ocean by Japan. And it's a deep water is where it's found, and that gives the real vibrant red.
So do you just order these things online? I
Um,
mean,
well, like
I'm
the
just.
coral, they put a ban on harvesting coral,
Mm,
so it's kind of like I either have to have a connection
mhm.
or I just stumble into it.
Okay,
So like if I'm out shopping in like New Mexico and I'm going to a shop and they've got it there, then I will buy some.
okay,
But it's
so
not
this is
like-
not contraband coral.
No, no. We're all legal here. We're all legal.
Don't give up your dealer, man.
That's so, well, that's like, there was an artist here and he did pieces, he made art on mammoth tusks.
Mhm.
And I was like, where do you get a mammoth tusk?
Yeah,
You know, and sometimes people find it in like a thrift shop or something. Somebody's had one in
Yeah.
their house, pulled it out of the attic, gave it to this place to sell, you know, things like
Mhm.
that. So, yeah, I was just kind of making a joke, but anyway, and then tell us how you get the turquoise out of a rock like this, because this looks like, I don't know, this is like a sculptor sees something out of a, just a rock, and how do you see what you want to get out of that?
So like, now that I cut my own stones, like a lot of times when I would buy the already pre-cut stones, I would kind of design around the stone.
Right, yeah,
Because I didn't really have a way to alter it or do anything like that. But with me being, like, I cut my own stones now,
mhm,
pretty much most of the stones that I get. And I use essentially it's like a tile saw
yeah,
kind of a
Yeah.
machine. So I'll just go in, I'll cut slabs of it, and I just look at the stone, so it's like, I don't know which one I bought. So like this, if I wanted a lot of like brown matrix or something like that, I would just slice it this way.
mhm,
So I have all this, and then I go in and like, okay. I want this design to have a big piece or a little piece of stone or kind of whatever I need, or earrings, things like that.
mhm.
So then I'll go in or take a template and draw on whatever I need and then cut out that shape. And then I've got a machine, like a CAD machine that's actually maybe as big as this table,
Mhm.
but it goes from, I think it's like 80 grit. It has wheels on it that spin. And it's like, I think 80 grit down to, I want to say 3,000 grits. And then on the side, it has like this little, I have like a diamond paste that I put on like a felt wheel. And I can polish it down to where it gets shiny.
Super shiny. So you
Yeah.
said, when you call the matrix, you're calling this kind of stuff like this?
Yeah.
Matrix.
So like essentially or what you would call like an inclusion in a way, kind of a deal. That's what the matrix is,
Okay,
like turquoise and stuff
Okay.
like that.
okay. And then you also brought like a piece that's not finished.
Yeah, that's the piece that's in the
That's
works.
In the works. Okay, so how do you get this? Is this sterling?
Yeah,
Silver?
I only work with sterling.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so does it come in like thin slabs, or how do you?
So it kind of depends on what I need. I buy like a lot of stuff is just like a sheet silver. So I buy it as like a 6x6 or 6x12 sheet of silver. And then I can put out like, okay, I need to do some feathers for this. So,
And is it really thin like that? Like a certain millimeter?
so they go by gauges. I don't know how the millimeters work.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's everything's in like millimeters and all that stuff with jewelry, and I don't fully understand.
Yeah.
We don't do metric system
Metric
here.
system, US, I know.
That don't flow.
Yeah.
So like the back plate on this is like an 18 gauge,
Uh-huh.
and then the feathers that are overlaid on top of it are, they're like either 20 or 22 gauge,
Okay, so slightly thicker or thinner?
slightly thinner.
Thinner,
Yeah, so
okay,
the lower the number, the thicker the gauge is on the metal. That's
Okay.
how it works for that.
okay. Now the vein on is this a?
That's
okay,
just a piece of half round wire.
Okay,
So like I can buy wire, round, half round. It has like little bumps on it. Can look like a robe. Which anything you can think of, they have a shape or a similar shape to it. And I buy that to help like decorate pieces and have stuff too.
so do you have special tools then that like you tool this, like put these
So
lines or?
this
I don't know
one,
what this-
I actually was like a hammer and chisel on this
Mm.
one, and then like on these, I got an engraver, so now I can do all the lines.
Okay, the
Pretty
whole,
good, yeah.
the feather detail,
Yeah.
a real feathery detail.
Yeah.
And so are those beads, or is that a rope that, I mean, no, what'd you
Yeah,
call that?
this is a rope. So what I
Okay.
do is I essentially just take round wire, stick it in a drill chuck. I have a
Mhm.
nail wall, and I just put it on there and drill it and then wrap it
Twist
around
it.
itself,
Mhm.
twist it up, and then make the little ropes and stuff like that.
Nice. They're very, like consistently the same size. Is that like a process that you get a certain number of twists and you know to stop it, or?
I essentially just, I take a piece that's maybe like 10 foot long or so, once it's folded over. And I just stick in the drill. I just go until it breaks at the drill, like the silver will break at the drill chuck.
Mhm, mhm.
And that's when I know I've got essentially where it's tight enough. Because if silver, if it's not twisted up tight enough, it doesn't look good and it doesn't solder well.
Okay,
So I just go to that till it breaks and then I know we're good to go.
because that's how you attach it, you solder it
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
the, okay. All right, and so how does this color become this color?
So I have two ways that I polish. One is like kind of a coarse polish. So I have polishing compounds that I use on like a buffer wheel or like a bench grinder, essentially what it looks like, but they've got like felt wheels on them.
Mhm.
One of them is a real coarse compound. So it takes away a lot of like the scratches and the nicks and the little dings and things like that. And it leaves kind of almost like a matte looking finish.
Kind of like that?
And
Or-
I haven't polished
Oh,
that.
you haven't polished this
No.
yet, okay.
And then I go to another one that is a final polish, and that's what gives it the real shiny
Mhm.
look to
Oh,
it, flash.
yeah,
and stuff like
yeah.
that.
Wow. So there's a lot now. So what else will you do to this?
This will, I haven't fully decided yet. It will either have a stone or beadwork or something added to it. I just haven't decided yet.
Yeah, and it's very, I mean, this is scratchy. The edges are
It
really
will-
scratchy. So, I mean, obviously there has to be a lot of
Yeah, so I mean, like you take.
smoothing all
Yeah,
that
so like
out.
this one, this is one that I cut out and stuff like
Ah,
that. just to cut
yeah.
out Stuff like that,
Yeah.
so.
And
The
how do
first
you,
polish takes.
this is quite a design
Mhm.
on here. How does this come?
So this is handed, so this is where I, some of the pieces that I've started hand engraving on. So
Okay,
that's where
so you can't draw, but you can engrave?
I can follow a line. Because there's ways that like for engraving, we can actually print out templates and stuff like that
Ah.
on certain types of paper or material,
Uh-huh.
and I can transfer it over onto the silver.
Okay, like a carbon
Kinda
or
like-
something.
like a
carbon that-
stencil in a way,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it leaves a,
And then I can just follow.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because honestly, you know how they tool similar designs on leather?
Yeah.
And they just have those, just the metal tools and,
Mhm.
you know, you hammer it in there. And this looks a lot like that.
Yeah, it's just like it's a little handheld piece about that big. And there's different bits that fit into it.
Huh,
They're different, like some of them are sit like this, one of them that I use, the edge is like that. It's real
Yeah.
narrow,
yeah.
that I use to like add little shade lines and stuff like
So
that.
even this right here, that's.
These are stamped, no, this is stamped.
That is a
Yeah, yeah,
stamp.
yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, this
No.
is like a leather stamp too.
Yeah,
right? That,
yeah.
that's the same
Mhm.
kind of a shape and design that I've seen leather work
Yeah,
used. So that is so cool. And then this is the beautiful turquoise, and then you've chosen the color combinations that just blend
that matches.
beautifully with
Yeah.
the stone. All right, so a piece like this, how much time are we talking? I think it's important for people to realize how much time you actually put into something like this. Well, I mean, like, would you spend a week on this?
It's, I think this one was like 2 days, maybe.
2 days,
Kind of.
okay, all right. that's
Not like
fair.
consistent working on it. I have things that I can put in, like. Just jump into it and just go all in on it and
Right.
take like a day and a half or something like that.
Do you kind of set goals for yourself on how much product you want to put out in a week's time, or
I,
does it
so
depend on if a show's coming up, or how?
I
how
kind
does
of
that
like.
work?
It just kind of depends. There's a little couple of factors on that, like for a show. I try to show up with between like 150 pieces and up. So
Wow.
like my last show, I had 150 pieces. I did a show last year. I think I had like 230 pieces or something close to that.
Mhm.
So kind of depending on length of the show and things like that, I'm like, okay, this is kind of the number that I want to hit
Mhm.
on pieces that I bring to it. And then like if I don't have a show or anything like that, I'm doing like, if I want to do like a website update, I might pick like a handful of designs that I've been wanting to work with or things like that. So maybe like 10 to 20 pieces. And I'll work on them and then put them on the website.
Yeah,
So it just kind of depends on time of year and things like that and what's going on around
Right.
it.
right. So do you find that you have more sales like on your website, or is a show the big sale time, or what, how does that
It kind of,
work out? Exactly.
last year I had some stuff going on, so that was a weird year, but the year before last, it seemed kind of even on online
Really?
sales and in-show sale or like show sales.
Mhm.
But I tend to do better at shows because people can actually see the pieces.
And especially if someone is investing money
Yeah,
in a
they want
big
to be able
piece
to
of
try it on,
Mhm.
make sure it fits right, things
Mhm.
like that. And the other thing is too, like, I'm a guy, there's a lot of things like I can put a necklace on and it fits me different than it's gonna fit a woman.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
wear earrings, so I can't model those.
yeah,
My
yeah.
mom just got her ears pierced like 2 years ago, so it's finally like, now I have somebody, if I need to, I can throw some on to take a picture for somebody.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, yeah.
And then they can also see like the size, like how big it's going to be, or
Mhm.
try it on, like earrings, if it's too heavy, then they know, okay, I need something smaller or
Mhm.
something different.
Right, right. Speaking of modeling, let's look at this magazine right down here. I think this is so cool, Walker, that your pieces were selected for something like this. I mean, is this kind of like you hit this level of at least being known, being recognized, or, what does that feel like when someone says, hey, we want to use your pieces in a magazine?
It's kind of it
Or am I
it makes
making
you-
it, am I making a bigger deal out of it than it is?
it makes you feel appreciated, kind of is what it
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
Because that's what an artist, like you always hear an artist doesn't become famous if they're dead.
Yeah,
Like that's kind of
Yeah.
what's thrown out there.
yeah,
So, and I know people that have been years doing this stuff and they've never had like any kind of magazine recognition or anything
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
So being so young in my career, I hadn't did like this one was in January of 2020. I hadn't
Oh,
even
wow.
started my business by myself yet.
Oh, my goodness.
So that was a way to like, I jumped off in 2020, January 2020 is when I went on my own.
Uh-huh.
So to have this kind of behind me to push it, it was like,
Wow.
hey, I'm not here to fiddle around like.
Right, yeah.
I'm here to play ball with the
Yeah.
boys, kind of a deal. So it
For
was-
real,
yeah.
y'all. I'm for real. And so this publication was from when?
This was, I think, 2022.
Okay,
2022.
and so this, both the models are wearing,
Just
This-
this
this
was kind of
one.
went on. There's another
Okay.
one somewhere else. but
Okay.
this was the main
so, I mean, look at that. Do what?
What publication is it?
Oh, yeah.
one.
So this one is called Cowgirl. And this one is Cowboys and Indians, and Bree Drummond is on the cover
Yeah.
of this
There
one.
you go.
Yeah,
So,
so,
Author.
I mean,
We had a full little
Fred.
going on.
uh-huh, exactly, exactly. And then, so I was thinking about this while ago, when you make a necklace or a piece like this, do you always make earrings to go with it too? Do you kind of
I
make sets?
I can like find, especially like big things, or if I get stones that match. So like these two pieces right here, they were okay. I mean, they match. They
Oh,
come out of the
oh.
same stone.
Yeah, oh, I
Turn
see
around
that.
and look exactly identical.
Yeah,
So I send, like, if I can do stuff like that, I'll try to find.
mhm. Yeah, you can really see.
I'll
It's
try
beautiful.
to find stones that will match. I can do like earrings, maybe a ring, things like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
So like my big big one, this is my most like recent big piece that I've done. Like I've got a cup, earrings, a ring for it.
Okay,
Because I cut it all up. This is the first piece that I did where I cut all the stones by myself.
oh,
So I had enough to where I could do a full set. So it's got the necklace, ring, earrings, and a cup to go with it, just to complete it.
because you made it like that, is that how you'll sell it?
So, I get people that don't like to match and some people that do. So like on my big sets and stuff like that, normally it will be like the earrings and the necklace go together.
Yeah,
That way, if they want earrings to match or something like that, they've always got it there.
Right.
Themselves.
right,
Some people don't like cuffs, some people don't like rings. I always say like these are sold separately. That way, if you don't want it, you ain't got, it's just not a piece of jewelry that's following you around.
Right.
That's the purpose.
right. But the option is there because the
Yeah,
pieces all
yeah.
came from the same stone.
Yeah.
And so they all would hold that same look.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they all the beadwork would match on,
Mhm.
the stones, all the silver work, stuff like that, all has a look that goes together in skates.
Yeah. And then also these spurs here, I think that this is a very cool thing. You said this is you're the only person who has put beadwork on spurs.
Yeah.
To embellish them. Is this the only set?
That is the
That
only
you've
set that
done?
we've done. My dad has been a spur maker. He's did it for years, maybe. He's
Mhm.
been making bits. And, he's recently started doing the spurs. And he actually made the spurs for me as a birthday gift. And I was like, hold up, wait a second. So I took him in the shop and because I'd always kind of had the idea of like me embellishing his work
Mhm.
with different things. That way
Mhm.
people wanted stones or initials or some kind of customization, we could.
Right.
And I was like, let's just try it and just see what it does.
Mhm.
And it was really one of the deals that kind of blew me up and helped kind of put a name on the map with something
Right.
that's different and unique.
Mhm.
Um,
So nobody's wanted to order a pair or?
I haven't opened up orders yet because there's things that I have to figure out on like, because this is.
Well, is this gonna be
steel.
something you and your dad would do together?
Yeah,
Okay,
and.
wow,
they're,
so that is gonna be a super unique.
So like the spur base is steel.
Okay,
So it's different to soldering to silver and things like that. There's little
Uh-huh.
things that I need to figure out to make it look good. And
So
something
when-
that I feel proud of. being
when
able
he
to
gave
sell.
it to you, was it smooth like that?
Yeah.
Okay,
It was
so
just-
you added the metal,
Yeah, I did all the metal, the beadwork and the turquoise on it.
nice, and so is it set in steel then?
No,
Or
so
that this is silver?
all the little embellishments and everything like that, sterling, yeah.
Mhm.
So it's figuring out how to.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
there's even a piece there on the little part that goes. That is, wow. I mean, that is just so unique and so, I mean, the fact that both things are handmade, that the spurs are handmade. And then the embellishments would be so unique. That's a really cool idea.
It was a lot of fun to work on.
Oh, I can imagine. So what'd your dad think?
He was impressed. He was like, where are you gonna sell them? I was like, I'm not selling these because we made these for me, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep them.
Yeah,
But we've been talking about, he's made me some that I've got in the shop right now to kind of experiment on. Figure out like if there's certain different ways I can put stuff on it or, because.
I'm wondering if like for a price point or just because of the uniqueness of it, if it wouldn't be like a commission.
That's kind
Kind
of
of
what we're
thing.
going, we haven't decided yet, because I feel like they're gonna be more like a collector's
Yeah.
item.
Exactly.
Is do we take like a certain amount of orders a year, or do we just be like, I'm gonna do a run of 10? This is,
Pick your stone.
this is what
Yeah,
you get,
yeah.
they're all numbered. We're doing 10 a year.
Mhm.
This is what you get to choose
Listen.
from.
Limited.
Here you go.
You know, and you know how they do prizes like belt buckles? How cool would this be? To be something you won
Yeah,
at a rodeo?
so this.
I feel like
Yeah.
that would be a super cool and very unique. Do they give out away spurs as
They got
prizes?
anything you can think of
Everything.
almost.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I'm not of the world of rodeo, so,
yes.
but I mean, can you imagine? And because you're making them, you could put whatever, you know, like the rodeo, like the, whatever the logo or whatever from
Yeah.
that rodeo, and just like, wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of,
Sky's the limit on this
It's-
spur
it's-
thing.
and like kind of most of this, it's really, there's no limit to it.
Yeah.
The only limit that I run into with like the beadwork is just really size.
Mhm.
So like if somebody wants to brand it or something like that, I'm like, this is as small as this, it can go down. If you
Yeah.
want anything smaller than that, it's not gonna look.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least you know, and you're not afraid to say, that's not gonna look like what you're.
Yeah,
wanting it to look
it's,
like." Yeah.
you got to be able to do that. Just, that's one thing about being an artist that I learned real early on is you've got to be able to tell people no and not feel guilty about telling them no.
Yeah.
Even though, I mean, you might have wanted that sale
Mhm.
or something like that, it's like, this is not something that I'm going to like if I make it.
Mhm.
And like, I have things like that too, like if people are like, I want to do something like this or like that, and if I'm looking at it or figuring it out, I'm like, this is not look good.
It's your
Mhm.
credibility.
Or
Mhm.
like, I've had some people want some really odd color combinations that just aren't gonna jive together very well.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I don't know if I want my name attached to that.
Fair,
Like,
that's fair.
there's people
Yeah.
that I know that would do it, that I could send you to them, that they would gladly take it, but. You know, I don't know if I want my name attached to something that I'm not proud of
Mhm.
making.
I love it that you feel so comfortable in what you see and believe looks good. And because it's your art.
Yeah.
You are able to say that with confidence. I love that, Walker. I mean, I find that to be like the stamp of a man who's doing his thing. I feel like that is just a mark of success, really.
Yeah.
And wow, that is just so great. I love it. So do you do commission pieces?
I don't right now. Probably a little later this year, I'm going to open up some spots for, because I've had some ideas or some people that have seen things that I've done. And I've had a lot of interest in them, so it's like, okay. Take some, not necessarily replicate the piece, but there's ways that I can go about doing it that I thought of changing it when I made it.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, we may open that up where they can do some kind of customization to it, or
Mhm.
add an initial or brand or a certain color combination or
Right.
something like that to it.
And I was also thinking about the investment that you had to put into all this yourself up front, the capital,
Mhm.
because you have to buy expensive stuff
Yeah.
to create this,
This
you know?
is-
I mean, the big honking machine that does all the cutting, the polishing and fixing, you know, moving this rock, this rough rock
I think
into a beautiful stone.
this week, because I just got back from a show, so I got a little money that I can play with. We're not even into a full week yet.
Yeah.
After the show, the first 2 days back, I think I spent close to $1,500 on rocks and stones and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I'll probably spend another 1,500 to two grand on silver.
Mhm.
To help, just that's what I've got to restock for the
Right.
show.
Right.
Um,
I mean, you can see
Yeah.
the quality and the beauty and the design, I mean, everything is just, it's really done to perfection.
Thank you.
And, I can just see that you have invested a lot into this. And as a result, you're really making some beautiful art. You really are, you
Thank
know, I mean, when you use quality materials, you have a quality result.
Yes.
And so anyway, this has been super interesting. Of course, I geeked out totally over the whole turquoise thing. Yeah, Mary's back there geeking out with me. But this has been so interesting. And I'm just so proud of you. I'm really happy for you for finding this. And look at what would have happened nursing is a wonderful way to spend your
Yes.
life, a great commitment and just a gift to people. But the world would have missed out on this if you would have chosen to go that direction. And so I'm happy that this is the way that you went, because I feel like you are creative and unique, and you really have a vision. And the pieces that you're putting together are they're just lovely.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you're welcome. You're welcome. Much more success comes your way, I'm sure. I think, like you said, you're just getting started, 7 years.
Yeah.
You know, and really just going out on your own since 2020.
Yeah.
So you've really just been doing this for 3 years, almost 3.5, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I count 2020 as a good year.
This is true. This is true. Do what? Yeah. Tell us your website.
So website is wccwesterndesigns.com, and my Facebook and Instagram are the same name. So I'm doing a website update where all the pieces that I have from my last show will be on the website. This is, I think, 22nd this Monday, the 22nd at 7 p.m.
Oh, okay.
Is when it will go live for that.
Okay. WCC Designs.
WCC Western Design.
WCC
Design.
Western Designs. Yeah. WCC Western Designs. Awesome. Walker, it has been so fun having you on Trail Talk today.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you being on here. So when we sign off, we always say happy trails. So you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you guys next time. Happy trails. Mary always. You got this one.
All right, here we go.